Hey everybody, what do you say? JJ59 Gannon here. And yeah, today I thought I'd just share some of my favorite cards with you. And I just thought that might be kind of a nice thing to do. But before I start the video, I just want to remind everybody out there that this is the last call for alcohol on these two cards. I'm still looking to sell them. The card on the left, of course, is the 1953 Topps Willie Mays, and I got that back in the early 1970s from the great collector Gar Miller, and it's a card. It's in great condition. The only issues are on the left side, in the on the border there, and up in the right hand corner, ever so slightly there. Those are the only issues with the card. There are no creases or wrinkles, and the back is also, great shape. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, for this, I'll be, I'm saying, 1,200 or best offer. How's that? All right. And for the Pete Rose, I mean, this one is in really great shape. I'll send pictures of these close-ups to anybody who really wants to take a look at them. The Rose is in amazing shape. Slight issue down here. Right there, a little slight issue there. It's in great shape. So, if you want a good Pete Rose, I think this would grade 3 or 4. I don't know. That'd be my guess. But you never know how they're going to grade, right? I'd say 1,900 at best offer. Really, as far as worrying about the authenticity of these cards, you do not have to worry. They're coming from me. And I also got these in the early 70s before any real shenanigans were taking place. I mean, you don't have to worry about anything being trimmed or whatever. But anyway, they're two beautiful cards, and again, I'm offering the Mays for 1,200 at best offer, and the Rose for 1,900 at best offer. All right. With that said, yeah, what I'd like to do is just share, some cards with you that I really like. All right. What am I going to start off with? All right. Well, okay. Let me move these guys over and this here is absolutely one of my favorite cards. I've got a few copies of it. Actually, gave one of them to one of my sons. All my sons were born on October 2nd. I have 2 twin sons and then a third son. And coincidentally, they were all born on October 2nd. Of course, it makes sense for the twins to be born on the same day. But this game took place on October 2nd, 1963. So, I gave one of these to my son Michael. And I've made it a point to give them all things that have an October 2nd date on it. But this is the 1964 Topps card of Sandy Koufax pitching Game 1 of the 1963 World Series, in which he struck out 15 batters. And I mean, you just look at the card, right? I mean, this to me is a Hall of Fame card if there ever were one. I've actually tried to bring it to the attention of the guys who do the Hall of Fame card thing, but it hasn't gained any traction for some reason. I just love the picture. I love the design, and interestingly, October 2nd, 1963, right? That Koufax struck out the 15 batters. On October 2nd, 1953, Carl Erskine struck out 12 New York Yankees in the 1953 World Series. And then 5 years after this, on October 2nd, 1968, Bob Gibson struck out 17 Tigers. So, yeah, one last thing would be that on October 2nd, 1978, Bucky Dent hit his famous home run against the Red Sox. So October 2nd is a great date in history for many reasons, including the birth of my 3 sons. So, anyway, love this card. Another card that I really love here is the 63 Topps Roberto Clemente. I like this more than his rookie, frankly. I like this one and the 1960 better than that. And yeah, to me, this is just a beautiful card. And he has so many great cards, really. So that's another one. Now, I'm going to put up 2 cards. Where are they now? Here we go. Right. These 2 cards here. Okay, for me, they're very significant because they were both, when I was a kid collecting, the Eddie Robinson was really maybe the first 1956 Topps card I ever saw and owned. And the same with the 1957 Tom Sturdivant. And so these cards were just, to me, again, just to have cards from these years. And, what they represented to me also was that as a Yankee fan growing up, of course, we knew about Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, players like Tommy Henrich, Charlie Keller, Whitey Ford. But, there were a lot of players who played on those great Yankee teams that were more obscure. And Eddie Robinson actually is a famous name in baseball. But I didn't know who he was back in the early 1970s. And so these cards were a revelation to me. It made me realize that there were other players who played for the Yankees, and there were many players to discover and to learn about. And I always really, really dug these cards. Okay. And here's a card I picked up a few years ago. I just was struck by the photo. He was really, he only, Bob Trowbridge, he played 5 years in the majors from 1956 to 1960. He played 4 years for the Milwaukee Braves, and then he ended his career in 1960 with the Kansas City Athletics. And, he was not any kind of a stellar pitcher. He had a lifetime 13-13 record with a 3.95 ERA. But, there are so many, players, right, who, played baseball at one time in the majors. They were part of these teams. And, if you were a Braves fan or watching a Braves game, back in the late 50s, you would have known who Bob Trowbridge was. At one time, there was a man named Bob Trowbridge who pitched in the major leagues. And, anyway, the card just struck me. And, I just dig the card a lot. Now, this card, oops, are we out of focus? I think, okay, good. There we go. All right, that's of, should make sure I center it a little bit more. Yeah, Zeke Burkowski was, a great quarterback. He played for the Bears, the Rams, and the Packers, and he played 14 years, and he He was no slouch. He passed for over 10,000 yards. He completed over half of his passes at a 51.3 completion percentage. But what I love about this card is, like, if you look at it, look at him. He looks like a Tyrannosaurus Rex bounding out of the jungle. It reminds me of a scene out of Jurassic Park. I just love this card. His real name was Edmund Raymond Bratkowski, and he got the name Zeke because there was a really great player in the 1930s named Zeke Bonura, who was a first baseman for the White Sox. And, Zeke Bonura, let me just cover this, he got his nickname because in high school he had a coach who praised his physique. So the other players on whatever team that would have been, started calling him Physique, and then it got shortened to Zeke. And when Zeke Bratkowski was a kid, his father was a semi-pro ball player, and Zeke was the bat boy for the team, and he got him a jersey or a uniform, a White Sox uniform with Zeke Bratkowski's name on it, and so everybody started calling him Zeke. So that's how he came to be known as Zeke Bratkowski. His maybe his most famous game was the 1965 playoff game for the Western Conference. The Packers and the Colts tied in the Western Conference, and they had to play a playoff game since he would go to the NFL championship. And Bart Starr got injured on the first play, and Zeke Bratkowski came in, and the Packers won the game in overtime, 13-10. So there's Zeke Bratkowski. Love that card. And, oh, by the way, Zeke Bratkowski was also an excellent punter. He punted as well. And here's Jim Turner, who was a great kicker. I grew up watching him play for the Jets in the late 60s and early 70s, and he was just a great player. And I just was always struck by this card. When I got this card as a kid, I thought this was a classic card. The cards that announce themselves like that, like the '69 Reggie Jackson, and this one to me just always struck me as an amazing card. Jim Turner. He's got a couple more. Bobby Mercer was my favorite player after Mickey Mantle retired for the Yankees, and I just think this is one of the nicer in-action cards of the 1972 Topps set. It's a real in-action card. A couple of the cards, the catcher, the players, and I don't feel they really gave Hank Aaron a great in-action card. I mean, he's probably in the middle of a home run trot. It looks like he's between second and third base, and it just looks like he's kind of trudging along. It's not really like any wild and action shot. And again, I just think they could have picked a better picture for him. And Roberto Clemente, he looks like he's about to argue a called strike or something. He's holding the bat. He looks ticked off. I don't know. Seems like they could have picked a better picture for him. But they picked a good picture for Bobby Mercer here. Now, here are a couple of my favorite checklists. Now, I didn't collect football cards in 1967, which is where this checklist is from. But I just love that checklist. The groovy, where the football, written in the shape of a football with the groovy kind of style of lettering there. Very 1967, you know. You know, those the late 60s, the summer of love, the hippies, you know, I mean, psychedelic times. And Topps really captured the zeitgeist with this card. And I'm going to get some more of these checklist cards. I love them. And in fact, the 67 wrappers, 1967 Topps football wrappers, I believe, have this design. I'd like to get one of those wrappers. Now, the third series checklist of the 1969 Topps baseball set, I remember when that came out. I was collecting in 1969. And, you know, I had first started collecting in 1968, and all the checklists had the picture of a player in a circle, you know, up at the top of the checklist. And 1969 started out the same way. And then all of a sudden, whoa, you know, here comes the third series checklist, and it's different. And it immediately grabbed my attention. And I was saying, hey, you know, what's this all about? And so, you know, I turned it over to see what was going on. And of course, at the bottom of the checklist, they were advertising for the special 33 card set that we know today as the Decollege set, but they called it they called them special autographed photos. It was the special autographed photos checklist, and so this is why they designed the third series checklist the way they did. Afterward, they went back to putting you know, pictures of players in a circle up at the top left of the checklist. So yeah, I just love these cards. All right, and okay, got two more. Yeah, I'm starting. Yeah, run the clock here. We're up to 17 minutes. I just always thought this card was great. I remember getting it as a kid, and you know, I was just learning my way around baseball cards, and you know, I realized that, of course, if a player had the All-Star trophy, you know, the rookie trophy, you know, they must be a good player. And I didn't even know who Tom Seaver was, but you know, I thought, okay, well, yeah, he must be good. And I just always loved this picture and this card. And to me, it's a classic card, and it was up, you know, for a Hall of Fame vote this year, but didn't get in. I just think this is a stone classic, one of the great cards. And the last card I'm going to leave you with is the Monkees. 1967, I think in 66 and 67, they issued different series of monkey cards, and this is this card is actually the picture they used on the cover of the Monkees' first album, Meet the Monkees, and it's a classic photo, and you know, just like the Beatles photo on Meet the Beatles is a classic. This is a classic as well, and I collected these types of cards, Monkees cards, Man from U.N.C.L.E. cards, things like that. Really, before I started seriously collecting baseball cards, and you know, I loved the Monkees back then, and I love them now. You know, from left to right, you have Mike Nesmith, Mickey Dolenz, Peter Tork, and Davy Jones. Sadly, Mickey Dolenz is the only one who's still with us. Yeah, I was really into the Monkees. I joined their fan club, got their stuff in the mail, watched their shows, and I collected their cards. And I just got a few of them now. And who knows, maybe I'll get some more. But at any rate, so I just wanted to share with you some of these cards that I really, really love. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed listening and watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. And don't forget about the Willie Mays card and the Pete Rose card. If you're interested, just leave a message in the comments, and we can, you know, talk. And again, I'm just you know, trying one more time with those. And you know, If you like one of the cars, let me know. All right, everybody, take it easy and have a great weekend.